been able to catalog nearly 10,000 years of artifacts from this location. Most likely was a population center for many, many generations, maybe a cultural center. The point being that it was not a site that people used seasonally, but it was actually a center. I'm reluctant to call it a city, but it certainly once had a large native population that lived there continuously and exploited the resources of that area. So here's a closer look at some of these megaliths in the woods. They're a little difficult to see. We had originally received a report, NERA that is, identifying the prehistoric site there. It was located at the Kingston Business Park, which was under development at the time. And when the site was being developed, these were discovered, and a report came into NERA that we should have a closer look. Here's one of the stones, 6 feet standing tall, probably going further into the ground. I do have to say that I sent pictures of these to Richard Kelly, Bob Kelly, who is the chief geologist at the New York State Museum, chief geologist for New York State. Of course, he looked at these and said he saw nothing here that he didn't believe could have occurred naturally. So his judgment was that we're looking at something that was not man-made but natural. I find that a little difficult. But perhaps other geologists might have the same opinion. What you have here are 3 stones that are stood up, set in the ground with some smaller stones set in the middle of them. There are also some aspects to this site. This is actually a shot of my friend Dave Holden, who visited the site with me. And the report that originally came to us was from 2 arborists, David Yarrow and Fred Baglia. And they were with the New York State Old Growth Forest Association, and they pointed it out to us that the Kingston Business Park development sits on what has been identified as the last piece of old growth forest in the city of Kingston. So this is one of those trees of the original old growth. From the megaliths, you have a clear view across the Hudson River, and it's kind of interesting to note there's a notch in the hilltop over there that aligns or seems to align with the megaliths. And there's a stone that's set in the middle. It's kind of like a finger. It's about 2 meters high, and it just sits pretty much centered between the 3 surrounding stones. And there's another view of the finger with one of the standing stones behind it. And when we put the compass on it, we get that 318 degrees pointing from the center stone to the megalith that's in the northwest. Here we just have a hand line diagram I did of what is going on up there. And to me, this is not haphazard enough to have been created by nature. It just, to me, seems like this was purposefully done. And there were, because this was a site that was being developed, luckily there was a mitigation plan put into effect. And the archaeologists who reviewed the site, they did assign this as they called it a rock shelter. They classified it as a rock shelter. And they were able to get it protected, and the mitigation plan allowed for it to remain even though the Kingston Business Park was built all around it. And you can literally go into the parking lot of the Kingston Business Park, and it's better in the fall when the leaves are not on the trees, but not 20 feet off the edge of the parking lot, you see these stones simply standing there, kind of silent sentries. I'm going to look at another alignment. This is a summer solstice, winter solstice alignment between the Turners Falls, Massachusetts site and the Kingston megaliths. Turners Falls, Massachusetts site is a site, it's actually the first site that the federal government has noted or has recognized as a Native American sacred site. And it has, or I should say in the Northeast, that has been recognized as a Native American sacred site that is constructed of stone. So some progress has been made. And this was simply because the tribal preservation officers who were involved with this, and the gentleman's name was Doug Harris. He's the Tribal Preservation Officer for the Narragansett and the Mashpee and the Wampanoag, and it was the natives coming to the archaeologists and informing them that these stone constructions at Turner's Falls were in fact a sacred site that got them recognized. And that would not have happened if the Turner's Falls Airport had not decided to extend its runway. And in order to extend its runway, it would have had to destroy these stone constructions in Turner's Falls. And the natives intervened, and the designation by the government as a sacred site prevented the destruction. So when I had heard about this site, and it was from a Native American leader in the Northeast named Jim Davis, he's a reverend, and runs the Wittenberg Center for Resource Recovery. And I was talking to him about the megaliths in Kingston, and he was the one who said, well, you know, they align with the Turner's Falls site. It's another alignment. And it just kind of amazed me. And when I went up and drew the alignment on the map, I realized that it intersected with the Hammonasset line, another solstice alignment, at a point just east of the Hudson River in Red Hook, New York. And you can see the Kingston megaliths here, and the Turner's Falls site would be at the end of this alignment. And if you followed the Hammonasset line, you'd come down to the tip of Long Island to the burial grounds, and going up through the Catskills, you can see one of the sites in the Overlook Mountain area that we'll talk about a little bit later lies very close to the solstice alignment. And when I put the compass on there, I was somewhat amazed that it did create a reciprocal. So if this is a winter solstice sunrise and a summer solstice sunset, this would be from the Kingston megaliths, you'd be seeing a summer solstice sunrise in this direction and a winter solstice sunset to the southwest. So I thought this was pretty interesting that there was an intersection right there, and I quickly got on Google Earth and Bing Maps and started looking to see if there was anything in the woods right there. And if you notice, you have I can see better here. You have Norton Road to the west of this, Norton Road being right here, and you have Yance Road right here, and if you go to the Google Earth image, you can see Norton Road here and Yance Road here, and in this piece of undeveloped land, I noticed there were some interesting, and I'm not sure how well this is reading to you, but there are some interesting formations that I could see clearly from the aerial image. And I zoomed in on them a little bit, and they didn't go away. They're still there. I was able to look at them in an historic image. This is really kind of dark, but we have a stone wall, a stone enclosure, and some stone mounds. There's another aerial image getting a little bit closer. The bird's eye view from Bing is really excellent for seeing if there are things on the ground. And since this was about a half hour from where I live, I thought I'd better get in the car and drive over there and walk into the woods and see if I could find these things. And when I did, this is basically what I saw. We have the stone enclosure. There's a little bit closer view of it, a stone wall that runs in this direction, a wall here, and then a wall here. And this is somewhat enigmatic. I don't know what this would be used for. It certainly wouldn't be a livestock corral or pen because it's just not tall enough. It doesn't seem to be a border or a property boundary because it's just too oddly shaped. So it's just a curiosity that it's in the woods there, right where these two solstice lines appear to intersect. Another view from Bing, a little bit closer. The enclosure right here with the wall extending down. This is a cairn, and this is a large sloping curved wall. That's the cairn down on the ground. You can see it in the air right here. The cairn from another direction almost looks like a stage to me. It's about 30 feet across. Here's a picture of the cairn and then the sloping stone wall that comes off of it. And these I'm not quite sure why they're this shape, why they're configured like that.